but I'd like for us to get started, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today for an important and honestly all too absent conversation about dignity in the cancer experience. But before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items I'd like to share. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on Sharsheret's website along with a transcript. As always, participants' faces and names will not be in the recording. You will be notified when it's posted, and you'll get a link, a shared link that you can that will allow you to access the webinar recording or share with anyone who's interested in viewing it. You may have noticed that participants were muted upon entry. Please keep yourself muted throughout the call. Should you have any questions for us during the presentation, please use your chat box to ask them. That can be accessed on the bottom of your screen. As a reminder, Sharsheret has been providing telehealth services to the breast and ovarian cancer communities for 20 years now. I recently heard somebody describe this time as a time of creative connection. I believe that's true as we continue to provide the support we've always had and we found meaning in the creative ways we've connected during this past year. As we move into the webinar itself, I also want to remind you that Sharsheret is a national not-for-profit cancer support and education organization and does not provide any medical advice or perform any medical procedures. The information provided by Sharsheret is not a substitute for medical advice or treatment for a specific medical condition. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem. As always, seek the advice of your physician or a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have. Okay, let's get to it. I am excited to share that today I am speaking with Jasmine Jones, the founder and CEO of Cherry Blossom Intimates, a lingerie store that caters to all, including breast cancer survivors. And today, actually, I'll be part of the conversation. For those who don't know me, my name is Melissa Rosen, and I am the Director of Training and Education at Sharsheret. I am also a two-time cancer survivor. So let's start. When someone is diagnosed with cancer, it seems like it's all about the details, right? Appointments, screenings, calls to insurance. It's about dealing with the cancer itself. It's like everything else falls to the bottom.
Yeah, I would actually agree, Melissa. And I wonder, cancer is very clearly a physical experience, but do you feel that there is more to it?
Actually, absolutely, I do. The cancer experience is obviously a physical one, but we have to acknowledge that there are psychosocial components. There's a strong emotional component to the cancer experience, and for many, there's also a spiritual component. The goal during treatment is physical healing, but it's important, I believe, to understand that complete healing doesn't happen without addressing all of the emotional components that cancer brings.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about what you mean by the emotional complications and how do these emotional complications relate to the idea of dignity, which is why we're here during the breast cancer experience?
Exactly. So unlike many other cancers, breast cancer impacts a body part that is tied to our identity as women and even to our sexuality. Breast cancer can impact our self-esteem in a unique way. Cancer treatment can also lead to the feeling and actually also the reality of a loss of control. Practically, while in treatment, we often lose our ability to schedule our own days. And we can also feel a loss of control about bigger things, right? Dating, fertility, career, and of course, mortality.
Right, which is a lot. And we're here to talk about dignity today. So how do these emotional concerns relate to a feeling of dignity?
Well, I believe that a good part of dignity is about self-determination, and cancer cannot only rob us of self-determination on a daily basis, like I mentioned, but it can make our future decisions feel more limited than we anticipated. And dignity is also the ability to present ourselves as we see ourselves. Cancer changes our bodies from treatment-related hair loss to the potential loss of our breasts. Some of these changes are temporary and others are permanent. In either case, it's a physical announcement of our illness to others and a personal reminder of the changes cancer can bring.
Right, I agree. So, how can those in treatment and survivors, and what I love to call them thrivers, how
Mm.
can they maintain their dignity during this cancer experience?
It's a great question. The good news is that there are many things we can do. And of course, while it doesn't change the diagnosis, it can absolutely change the way we feel about our diagnosis. And if you're wondering why attitudes matter so much, I want to share something with you that might seem counterintuitive. You know, study after study after study has shown that patients whose non-medical needs are met and whose concerns are addressed, they actually have better physical outcomes. What does that mean? It means they get through treatment with fewer complications. It means that they don't only survive, but thrive in greater numbers. So you can see that the importance of doing what we can to maintain our dignity during our cancer experience is so critically important. And although there are many ways we can do that, I think today we'll focus on two. Um, the first is expecting respect from our healthcare providers. And the second is what we can do for ourselves. So with regard to the first, as we enter the world of oncology, it can feel overwhelming and isolating and frightening. It's a common occurrence to defer to our doctors, right? Even when we don't understand what we're told, even when we may feel the decisions aren't right to us. They are the experts, they've had the training, they are there to save our lives. But I just want to encourage everybody to play an active role in our treatments and our recovery. And that includes choosing the members of our treatment team where possible, choosing doctors that listen to our concerns and help to address our needs, who create treatment plans and survivorship plans geared toward our specific diagnosis and our personal priorities. I want to be clear. I'm not saying to ignore medical advice or guidance. What I am saying is that we should each be comfortable sharing our questions or our concerns with our medical team. We should feel comfortable seeking out second or, where appropriate, even third opinions. The doctors we choose should want to hear our thoughts and consider us part of the process. The other way to maintain dignity is to determine what our needs are and prioritize them. These decisions are very personal and different for each person. Whatever the decisions each of us make, taking control of what we are able to control reminds us that we are more than just a diagnosis, and that assists us in maintaining our dignity in what honestly can sometimes be an undignified process. The other important way to maintain dignity that I mentioned is to ensure we're comfortable with the way we look, how we present ourselves. Again, there will be changes, no doubt, but if we do our best to present ourselves in a way that makes us happy, our confidence grows. You know that statement, fake it till you make it? I think that those kind of actions actually help us make it. And that may be purchasing a wig, it may be finishing breast reconstruction, it might be finding clothes that make our bodies look good, or lingerie that makes us feel sexy on our changed bodies. The most important thing is to find what makes us feel comfortable. And as I mentioned earlier, Jasmine's boutique works to do just that. Jasmine, you really seem to understand the importance of this conversation. So would you be willing to share your inspiration for the boutique? Because it's a beautiful story.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. I firstly stand on these paramounts of women who've experienced breast cancer having a life that is full of dignity and dignified experiences. I remember my grandmother's shopping experience for post-mastectomy bras and prosthetics. And even as a little girl, I remember it always being inside of a medical supply store, behind aisles of bedpans and walkers and adult diapers and Bengay. And back there in a corner were her post-mastectomy bras, and they fit her behind a curtain or a weird door. And I just remember thinking that, why is it like this? This is terrible, and someone should do something about it. Why is it that my sisters and my mom and I, we could shop in a department store, we could shop in a beautiful boutique for bras, and my grandmother has to shop in these medical supply stores? And not only that, but the items were expensive. We were paying out of pocket. No one told us that our health insurance plan would cover the cost of post-mastectomy items, which they do by law. So I hope everyone on this call knows this. But that was when I was very, very young. And I remember thinking, someone should do something about this. It shouldn't be this way. Fast forward, I actually had a really great experience of meeting a physician who saw the same struggles with her patients, where they were going to medical supply stores or driving to very small mom and pop boutiques for post-mastectomy supplies. And immediately, all of these memories that I had of my grandmother came flooding back. And I just remember thinking, I can be that change. I can be the one who creates a better shopping experience. So in October of 2018, we opened the doors of Cherry Blossom Intimates. It's about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. Excuse me. We have over 2,000 square foot beautiful lingerie boutique. It is the most feminine, girly, lingerie loft style Parisian boutique that one could ever imagine. But it doubles as a fully accredited medical facility. So we have everything a doctor's office has. We just look like a lingerie store, and we're able to help women who've experienced breast cancer and those who have not, all in one space. So my favorite thing is when I see a woman who's had breast cancer in one fitting room and her daughter or her sister or her best friend in the fitting room next door, and they both walk out with something and no one's the wiser as to who's had what. Beyond that, though, in regards to the cost, we actually accept almost every insurance plan, including Medicare and Medicaid. Over 90% of national insurance providers we accept, and we take that pain away from the survivor and having to file for reimbursement from her own insurance company. We receive the payments from the insurance company ourselves, so she doesn't have to worry about it. And what makes us really special is that we offer custom breast prosthetics. So using 3D printing technology, we can build a woman a breast that looks like the one she's had prior to cancer. They come in 36 different skin tones. So she can choose her shade just like she chooses her makeup foundation. And she can also add freckles and veins and customize her nipple. And all of that happens in this very inclusive space. So it's really my pleasure to be able to help survivors who've experienced so much and in such a poignant way. Because of COVID, we've actually decided to pivot our business model a little bit. We were planning to do pop-ups all across the nation, but now in-person fittings just seem a little strange with everyone at home. I see everybody's beautiful living rooms. So with us, we actually plan to join you in your living room by offering these fit services virtually. So that is the next iteration of our company. So what started as a lingerie boutique has now grown into a global direct-to-consumer brand that will meet you where you are. So soon you'll be able to do fittings from your cell phone or from your laptop, which we're really excited about.
That is crazy technology and very needed. You know what I love about what you said is this inclusivity, right? So we've all been to those medical supply stores that you described, and some of us have even been lucky enough to go to lovely boutiques that are geared specifically to breast cancer survivors. but the ability to go with my sister or my girlfriend shopping, and both of us, she's not there to support me. She's there to get, a beautiful new bra that she needs, and I'm there to get a beautiful new bra that I need. I think that's very unique and truly wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit more about this this new technology, about being able to do this over the phone? Because I'm pretty sure that that's new for everybody. So how exactly does it work?
It's actually really easy. The in-person process is the easiest one. We use an iPad. We come around and do a body scan. We do it from the neck down, and we only use your initials, so no one ever knows that it's actually you. And we create like a 3D plaster mold, but it's all on our dashboard. We send it securely to our creators, and they send back your piece. It's non-invasive. We barely touch you. We put a few smiley face stickers to make sure we're getting some symmetry. And in about 3 or 4 weeks, you come back and you have your custom prosthetic that looks just like you, handmade and ready to go. In the next iteration of it, in the next version, we'll do a virtual consultation just like this. We'll send you a measuring tape so you can get your proper band size, send you a cute little box directly to your door. And then those items just continue to come back directly to your door, almost like Amazon subscribe and save. It'll be a lot like that. So you'll get your post-mastectomy bras and prosthetics at your renewal period. You'll never have to miss an opportunity for you to have gotten a refill of your bras. Because of a law passed in 1998, these bras have to be covered by your health insurance plan. So if you are watching this and you have insurance, you maybe have had breast cancer a long time ago, 20 years ago, even 20 days ago, no matter the difference, you are covered for your post-mastectomy bras and prosthetics. So please use those advantages to the nth degree, because they're there for you.
That's good advice. Somebody just put a question in the chat that maybe you have the answer to. So she asks why insurance doesn't cover bras for lymphedema of the breast or chest when they cover sleeves and socks, and that compression bras are very expensive, and it's a chronic ongoing situation.
Yeah, we have experienced that with our ladies as well. I wish I knew the answer as to why they don't cover it. We've actually have been advocating on Capitol Hill to have more coverage for women who've experienced breast cancer, a bit more overarching coverage, to have custom breast prosthetics covered by every health insurance plan. And it's really unfortunate. And you know what I honestly think that it is that there's not enough female advocates for women who've experienced breast cancer on the physician side, and then also on the political side, to press for these issues. And really it starts with advocating to Medicare, and then it reverberates through the other health insurance plans. I don't know if there's enough representation. So we've been out there, I've been out there personally, but there is an organization called Essentially Women, and they advocate for women in the breast cancer space, and they work to lobby. So that might be a point to raise with them. They might be able to help.
So somebody asked the measurements, the imaging you do to create the prosthetic. That's part of the process, and insurance covers that. Yes.
Yes, insurance covers that, and that is part of the process.
Okay, that's amazing. So it's interesting. We've talked a lot about your boutique, but you just mentioned that you do get involved a little bit in advocacy. And the other thing that we've talked about that you do is education in your shop, right? So obviously not right now, we're doing it online. Originally, we would have loved to come to Sharsheret, would have loved to come down in person, but that wasn't able to happen. But you consider education and the camaraderie that women have as part of your mission as well.
Absolutely. It's really close to my heart, because one day I had a bit of an epiphany, and I started thinking, what if Victoria's Secret would have told every woman that walks through its doors to check their breast, and that self-checks save lives? And I wonder how many lives would have actually have been saved, how many women would have been able to detect early, and have had a better experience from their breast cancer diagnosis. So that's always been paramount to the work that we do. We don't believe that boobs are just here to be sexy, right? We want to make sure that you're safe and protected and healthy, and that you get to live a very long life. So each of our hang tags includes information about doing an early self-detection check. So that's each of those tags that have a price tag sticker on it. If you open it up, one part gives you information about doing a self-check, and the bottom part is the price, because it was so important for us to advocate and have this knowledge for our customers. And we're actually building a database of awareness information and self-check guides and what to do if you find something that seems abnormal, because we believe that this conversation should be fluid and should be happening every day.
Amazing. Somebody just asked if you help women figure out what size they need to be, not only after mastectomy, but after different types of reconstruction, whether it's a deep flap or implants.
We do. And that's sometimes my favorite customer, because they come and they have this new shape and they're really excited about it. And we get to dress them in all kinds of fantastic lingerie, or sometimes super soft and comfortable bras, and maybe a fun panty. That's always been my favorite type of customer. But we have full-time mastectomy fitters. So you can receive a mastectomy fitting 7 days a week in person in our boutique right now. But all of our team is trained especially to fit women who have lumpectomies, who may have asymmetry, who've had deep flap surgery, all types of reconstruction, who may have nipple sensitivity and want to know, okay, how do I hide my headlights? We get really real in our fitting rooms, and our customers tend to love us for it.
That's wonderful. So, okay, so there was another question, which was somebody asked what an example might be when we need to use our voices to ensure that we're being heard in a healthcare setting, as another way to maintain our dignity. So I think that there are a lot of situations where this happens. One that I'll share with you for my own personal experience was, I went into my breast cancer experience feeling very strongly that I didn't want implants. And when I went to the plastic surgeon, I learned I wasn't a strong candidate for a flap reconstruction. And there was no question about what my other options were. I wasn't a candidate for one, so clearly I would have the other. And I consider myself an educated woman, reasonably medically savvy, and I was just being pushed along. And I didn't, in retrospect, I should have said, that's not what I want. And let's talk about other options, right? I wasn't saying to him, no, I want a deep flap or I want a flap surgery. He had already given me the medical information that I wasn't a candidate. And it wasn't my role to tell him, no, I'm sure it's fine. If I wanted to, I guess I could have gotten a second opinion, but that wasn't my role. My role should have been, and I'm perfectly happy to judge myself afterward, it should have been, this is not what I want. Let's talk about the other options here. And so that's a perfect example. I've heard people say that they've shared particular concerns that their doctors poo-pooed and said, you know what, that's not something you should be worrying about right now, or no, you're being silly. So those are the types of things, again, not medical advice, but those are the types of things saying, I know you feel it's silly. I know you think this isn't time for me to worry about this, but I'm concerned, and I know I would be calmer moving forward if you could share that information now. It would allow me to be, a stronger part of getting through this experience. And so that's the kind of advocating we're talking about. Again, it's all about two things. It's remembering we're more than just our diagnosis. And and that's like that first part that we're talking about, advocating for ourselves in the medical setting. And it's also remembering that our essence hasn't changed. And that's I think, a lot of what Jasmine was talking about, right? That our essence hasn't changed. We are still worthy of beautiful clothing and lingerie to make us feel good about ourselves. We're still who we were before. And I think that that's really important. One other question came through, Jasmine, and I'm gonna let you start and then maybe I'll add some more. But we talked about two things today. We talked about advocating for ourselves in the medical setting, and we talked about presenting ourselves to the outside world the way we feel inside. Are there other ideas you can share about advocating for ourselves while we're in this cancer experience?
Yes. One of my best pieces of advice is to bring a friend with you who has brought all of your questions that you've had written down, because it's no way you're going to remember. There's so much happening in the world, in this diagnosis experience, that is very hard to remember. So keep track of all your notes, even keep it in your phone or on a piece of scratch paper, and have your friend ask some of these questions for you, and also have your friend write them down. At the end of a doctor's appointment, your mind is zooming. There's so much that's on top of mind. It's hard to remember. You need a person who is helping you, who might say, no, the doctor said this, not that. Or remember, we wanted to speak up and ask about this question that you had last Tuesday, and by next Friday, you'd already forgotten. So I definitely would say bring a friend to each and every one of your appointments, because they're going to help make that journey a lot easier.
Yeah.
For us inside the boutique, we always welcome bringing a friend, whether they want a fitting or not, or if they just want to sit back on one of our relaxing chairs and just be there for you. I always recommend it. We can tell when our ladies come in because they sometimes seem so nervous. These experiences have previously been really, really crappy, terrible.
Traumatizing, possibly.
So we're here to make it better and make it a lot more fun. So please don't hesitate to bring a friend. Everyone is welcome.
Oh, that's great advice. One thing that I would add is that we need to protect our emotional health and to accept help when is offered. It's so hard for us as women to accept help, but doing that really allows us to build this wonderful community and make us feel a little safer emotionally sometimes. And I want to remind you that Sharsheret is here for you and your loved ones at this time. We provide one-on-one emotional support and these amazing programs and resources, related to presenting ourselves the way we feel inside. Our Best Face Forward kit actually helps women. It's designed to look like a birch box, and our Best Face Forward kit helps women manage the cosmetic side effects of treatment. We provide need-based subsidies for things like wigs or using a cold cap during treatment, or micropigmentation, which is really the 3D tattooing to finish a breast reconstruction. So we talk about things like that as well, but also other things like caregiver support, talking to children about cancer, things like that. And those are important too. Those help you maintain some normalcy in life. Are there any other questions? Please feel free to put in the chat box or anything else, any other questions that we can answer. Okay, so let me keep, if we see questions coming in, we'll absolutely take a break to answer them. But I really want to take a moment to thank Jasmine for sharing what is clearly her passion today. I hope the conversation and this topic gave you some thoughtful insights and ideas about the cancer experience, whether it's your own or a loved one. And I hope it really changed the way you think about what's required, and that dignity should be a part of the cancer experience. Okay, I am going to take a break because somebody did ask a question. So somebody asked, do you have forms that just fill out to flat after an explant? If you're concave, if your result is concave, do you have forms that will make you just look flat as opposed to concave?
Yes, for that, I'd probably recommend a custom prosthetic. It doesn't have to have any depth to it. It could just be flat. I'm understanding that you just kind of want to fill in that bit of a scoop space, and it would be able to do that. Yes. And then we can add a nipple on top if you like.
Great. So Jasmine, could you take a second to put your contact information or the boutique's website into the chat box, because a couple of people have asked for that. Again, I want to remind you that of all the things we talked about today, there are just a handful of the ways to maintain dignity and feel positive about ourselves during the cancer experience. They all lead back to that same idea of remembering that we are more than just our diagnosis. Okay, as we finish, thank you, Jasmine, for that. As we finish, please take a moment to fill out a brief evaluation survey that's linked in the chat box now or will be any second, because these evaluations really do inform future programming, and it will give you a chance, if you'd like, to reach out for some free support, one-on-one support, or access to our free programs at Sharsheret. You can click that now and still listen to the last few minutes, but I do want to let you know that we have several exciting webinars on a wide range of topics planned over the next few months, including one this coming Monday, which is about having difficult cancer-related conversations. And this is the second time, different topic, but the second time these professionals are joining us, and they were just so wonderful the first time and shared so much amazing information that we invited them back. I do want to encourage you to check out our website regularly to see what topics are coming up, and also access recordings and transcripts of past topics of all of our webinars by clicking that same link, which is just sharsheret.org. We'll put that in the chat box as well. I want to thank you for joining us for this conversation today. It's right there now. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. Again, thank you to Jasmine. It was a quick conversation that was incredibly meaningful. And I hope all of you found it comforting and the possibilities exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you have a very good day wherever you are. Bye-bye.